Welcome back to the Commish Chat Podcast, episode 2. I'm Anthony Sanrocco, NBHL Commissioner, joined by co-founders TJ Janus and Gianni Sanrocco to have our first real episode of the podcast, recapping opening weekend, going through the divisions, just talking about the league. So here we are.
Glad to be back, Epi 2. Thanks for everyone that listened to episode 1. It was cool to finally get it off the ground, and more to come.
No, great hearing from everyone too. I had a lot of people coming up and saying how much they loved the first episode, so we're happy to keep putting out content for everyone.
And people who said they hated it. So
yeah, even them too.
Yeah, little mix, but getting right into it. So opening weekend just passed. We had 3 divisions go. Right before the weekend, we put out our little hype video. We put some graphics out that everybody seemed to, they got, I think our hype video is at like 15,000 views on Instagram right now. It did pretty decent. Strive, of course, putting together another work of art from us using some awesome Milac Cup clips that we got to probably get out to people somehow. We have so much raw footage from that. I'm not sure how we'll do that, but opening day, you want to get into it? Tier 1, New Jersey, start out right at the beginning?
Sure. Yeah, we had the stream come out for New Jersey Tier 1. Obviously, did
shout out to Memory to Video Productions.
Yes, sir. They did all 3 Tier 1 games. I played in the second one on the Caribou. We lost, but obviously that first game was, super big for the league. Hawks versus Dogs.
So Tier 1 New Jersey, Belmar Hawks, Marlton Dogs. Rematch at the New Jersey Tier 1 final from last year. The Dogs won, so revenge game for the Hawks, and they got the revenge, I guess. They won 4-3.
Yeah, got out of there with those 3 points. I mean, there's 2 goals scored a little later in the game, right? But from what I could see, the Hawks seemed to be, on top of it for the entire game.
Yeah, I think the Dogs' second and third goals were under a minute left in the third period, so late into the game, it was a 4-1 game. Hawks. They controlled most of the game, I'd say.
And the Dogs were missing a few key guys in Aaron Huffnagel and Johnny Ruiz. They might have been missing a few others, but those are 2 high caliber offensive players that they were missing. So that could change later in the season.
And the loss of their captain too, Dennis Hickey. I mean, losing a guy like that, it's tough to to recover. But they're a really good team, even with all the guys they still have.
Yeah, and the Hawks showed up with, I think their entire team was there. Their bench was completely full. And, they were rolling their lines. They were, playing great. They looked good. Murata looked great in net. Hawks, I think they got a little chip on their shoulder right now. And I think that was the start they needed. They really wanted to win that one. They got it. I know Dogs have a lot of guys that don't play ball hockey year round, so they're going to have some rust they got to get off. And I think the Dogs are going to be a team as the season progresses. They're going to get a lot better. Like the guys that haven't played in a while are going to improve. The professional players they have, they're going to come back and start playing. So they'll get it together when they need to. But overall, good win for the Hawks. Great start for them. Moving on to game 2. The South Jersey Top Guns versus the Lakeland Caribou. So Caribou, 2021 champs, Top Guns, new kids on the block. Average age of the team's 19. TJ's on the Caribou. Just go to you, dude. Like, what happened?
Yeah, honestly, I felt like we played pretty well. We had a ton of opportunities, shots, and things. We just couldn't get them by. We definitely were slow, losing ball battles, and we're late to get on our horses to some loose balls, but it was a slow start for the Caribou, that's for sure. But I think the goals will come next game.
Yeah, the Top Guns, they only had, I think, 2 lines. I think they had 10 players and a goalie, but they didn't stop running that entire game.
It felt like it was just a few odd man rushes that went their way, and they just buried them, and we just couldn't finish, and they capitalized on their opportunities. That's pretty much the story.
And their goalie was pretty awesome too. Calvin O'Connell is he's a stud. He was a brick wall. So he helped them out too. But yeah, I mean, they did what they needed to do. They capitalized when they had their chances, and
Definitely shocked the league a little bit. Like, new team coming in. I don't think many people expected them to beat us. And the fact that they did, is good for Tier 1 New Jersey, I'll say. And, it just shows that it's very competitive. And, as we head into this next game, like, it's just their parity is there.
Yeah, in this division, basically any matchup you're going into, it's some games are kind of shockers, but for the most part, and that anyone can win.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people the whole offseason, like, hey, this Top Guns team, they're young, but they're legit. And game 1, they came out and proved it.
And then third game of the day was South Jersey Knights Watch versus the Mays Landing Mavericks. Mays Landing Mavericks essentially being the Mays Landing Prodigy from last year, with a bunch of the guys from the New Jersey Huskies who aren't in the league anymore, or aren't a team in the league anymore. Shootout game, 0-0, just a straight up goalie battle between Nick Salvatore
That's my
and
kind of
Robbie
game
Mangini.
right there. I love me a good goalie battle. And two talented goalies. Nick Salvatore, what a highlight reel machine that guy is. I feel like every single time we put the big cameras on him, he's pulling something ridiculous out. And if you go back and watch that game, you'll see he has I won't spoil it too much, but he has an incredible save in overtime. Go and watch that. And on the other end too, Robbie Mangini, young kid, really talented, coming over from the Mid-Jersey Mutants from last year. It's tough as a goalie to lose in a shootout, but when it's a 0-0 game, you go into that like, what more can you do for your team?
Yeah, there's a sequence in overtime where Mangini had an unreal glove save. And I was like, all right, well, that'll probably be the number 1 play of the week on the top 10. And then the Mavericks go down the rink the other side, and Salvi does his, incredible save that might be the best save we've ever seen in the NBHL.
He's had like 3 or 4 clips like that, I feel like, already. We might have to mash something up for him.
I was scrolling back on our TikTok, and he had a video against the Caribou last year, or was it maybe 2 years ago, where he's laying on his back and someone takes a shot from the slot and he reaches up and just like snags it.
Yeah.
It's
was that in Marlton, or was it?
It was GT.
It was GT. Okay.
Yeah. But Knights Watch win it 1-0 in the shootout. Was a 9-round shootout. They couldn't get scored on. I mean, the first 3 shooters, each team scored once. And then after that is the TJ Oshie rule, so anybody can go any amount of times. And it just kept going and going. The goalies were making every save.
I was at the snack stand and I saw the shootout going on, and I probably had like 4 different conversations with different people in the midst of that shootout. And I was like, is this over yet? Like, what is going on? It just took forever, but yeah.
Just, an impressive goalie display. They both stood on their heads, and it was pretty good live stream, relatively low scoring live stream, but some great teams. Top Guns coming out winning against you, TJ, beating the Caribou was just great for Tier 1, and it was just cool to see. So yeah, Tier 1 New Jersey started off well. Going south a little bit to DC. DC Tier 2 had their opening weekend. DC Phoenix revamped a little bit in the offseason. They picked up a bunch of players, and I know they had just won I guess it would have been Summer League or Fall League, whatever. I guess it wouldn't be summer. That makes no sense at all.
Winter
it would be
or something.
Yeah, seasons are tough.
Yeah. I'm terrible at months. And they had just won that. It was their first championship being in the top level at the DC League. So they've got some momentum playing the Battletown Gladiators, who are, a really, really good team. They always put up a fight. They're one of the best squads in DC. And the game went 2-2 into overtime. If you're the Phoenix, I'm sure you'd rather get the win, but Sean Miller, we posted it on Instagram, had the Pavel Bure kick shootout goal. Unbelievable.
You don't see that in ball hockey very often, if ever. It's 10 times easier to pull off on ice. So that was just, a good play and great execution and coordination from him.
I mean, I've literally never seen it in ball hockey. And I mean, that DC division, it's 6 teams, 4 make the playoffs. Every point matters. So to, like that is take some guts to pull off in that moment because they needed that goal to win, and it was he couldn't have executed it better. It was unreal.
Gianni, have you ever seen someone trying to attempt that as a goalie?
I would say I have had a couple of guys come up and try that on warm-ups, but in a game, I can't say that I've ever seen someone try to pull that off in a legitimate game scenario.
Yeah, and runs around, does a little point at the goal, Sally. I'm sure there might have been a little trash talking in that game leading up to that point, but I mean, hell of a way to win it. It was unreal. So next game, Sparks play the Falls Church Phantoms. They pretty much pick right where they left off. Beat them 6-2. Their captain, Sam Bowles, who is, I mean, just such an athlete, such a good player. He had 6 points, scored the first goal of the game. Jake Berube, who's a stud on their team, he had 2 goals. Kevin Altman had 2 goals. Kevin Roby had a goal and an assist. Like their team just has a ton of depth. They have a great goalie in Michael Bender, and they picked up right where they left off. They are they won the championship last year. They earned it, and they're
Yeah, I was going to say they were at the Milac Cup, the Sparks. I can't remember who they lost to. Do you remember who they lost to in this? I think it was the semis.
They lost in the quarters actually to the South Coast Chargers. They lost 2-1. It was a really close game.
Wow. I felt like they underachieved at the Milac Cup.
Yeah, and I know at Milac Cup, one of their best players, it's Chris Chambers, I believe, had an Achilles injury, so he couldn't play in their quarterfinal game, and I know that hurt them to the point that I'm not sure he's even playing right now. I think he's still on IR from that injury.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he was a huge piece. But that Sparks team, I mean, they had the play-in game. They played the Chicago Southsiders. They beat them. Then they went to the quarterfinal and lost to the eventual champion by 1 goal. So yeah, they I think they're a little hungry. I mean, they did their Lisa Darmondo did their little post article, and they asked a couple of the guys on the team, what's the prediction, and they said another championship. So they're going for it.
They're the only championship team too that came out that opening weekend and won their first game. Dogs won Tier 1 and they lost their game. Space Pirates, spoiler alert for the next segment, won Tier 2 in South Jersey, lost their game to the Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah, and last game in DC, the Hayes beat the Plague 4-1. So
that's a big upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Plague, they won the DC division in 2021. They were runner-ups last year. I know they had to make some changes with the salary cap. They lost Sean Fassbender, who's awesome. He's one of their best players. But even with that, they've still got a great team. They've got A-level talent up and down that roster. But the Hayes, they picked up some players. Pat Lugenbach, who I play with on graphics, he's a stud. I know he had a goal in that game. And, the Hayes showed, hey, we're as good, if not better than these teams. We deserve to be in this championship conversation. And it's a statement win to come out and beat a team that's won a lot of championships in DC. They're like perennial championships. They had a streak of winning. I forget the exact number, but it was a lot of between, going from one season to the next season to the next season, like winning the championship. So statement win for the Hayes. And, it's great to see the parity that's developing in DC with, a couple close games and, the Phoenix improving, the Hayes, the big win. It's what we want to see. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to, the salary cap over time. We've made some tweaks to it and we've, adjusted things as we've gone on. And, that's the effect is teams are going to have to shed players and the talent's going to even out at the end of the day.
And then moving on to South Jersey Tier 2. First game of the day, got the championship rematch between the Maple Shade Chiefs and the South Jersey Space Pirates. Space Pirates gave up a 5-2 lead to lose 6-5 to the Chiefs. Unreal.
I remember I saw JT Cooler after the game and I was like, you guys win, right? And he's like, no, we lost. I was like, you're kidding, right? He's like, no, we lost 6-5. I was like, oh. So that was a shocker for me.
And the Chiefs too didn't even have Dan Cohen, who's their goalie. So they picked up Ben Smith, who played on the Camden County Cobras last year. He had 2 big goals for them. Eric Bell had 2 goals. Their offense is pretty ridiculous. They have a ton of skill, and it's what happens. You put up 6 goals when you have that much skill. They're, I guess trying to claim the throne back from the Space Fire to, talking to their captain afterwards. I know he was not as happy with their performance, obviously giving up a lead like that. But, they're a good squad. They'll rebound. But the Chiefs looked really good to start. Going deeper into South Jersey Tier 2, we had 7 games.
Yeah.
So that was game 1. We went from
South Jersey's our biggest division in all of the NBHL, right, with 14 teams.
Yeah, so first game started at 3 p.m. Last one ended at around 10:15 p.m. I think we wrapped up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Majestic got a win. South Jersey Majestic beat the Monroe Storm. Majestic are basically the New Jersey Knights watch from last year. Give or take a few players. They've made actually a couple significant changes, but 2-0 win over the Storm. Majestic's goalie, Jimmy Burkett, played Tier 3 last year, is really, really good. So we'll see Majestic look legit. Sloss won their debut, their first game. They won 4-1 over who do they play? The Jays. They beat
South Jersey Jays. Yep.
South Jersey Jays.
Chimney Fish, they get their first win 4-2 over the Marlton Hounds, who, even though the Hounds lost, they looked significantly improved from last year. And the Chimney Fish, they look good. They've got some guys that used to be on the Mays Landing Mojo, some veterans that play down the shore. They're a good squad. They're a very good squad. They'll be in the mix all season long.
Tier 2 is always like that. Like, that's my favorite division to follow. Obviously, most teams, and on a week-to-week basis, standings are always shifting up and down, and it's always one of my favorites to follow throughout the year. Obviously, we help run it, but that one's always interesting.
Yeah, and the way that we're doing the playoffs there is 10 teams make the playoffs of the 14. 7 to 10 seeds have a play-in game, and then the winners of that pretty much go from, an 8-team playoff best of 3 series. So 4 teams don't make it. It's kind of a lot. And we really don't know who those 4 are going to be. It's
Yeah.
We've got a lot of new teams. We've got some teams that came back that made some improvements. So it really is a wild card. It truly is.
I was talking to the captain of the Horsemen at the end of the night, and he was telling me about how, they went 0-10 last year. They're a free agent team. They had a lot of guys that were new to it, and 2 games left in the season, they hadn't won a game. They were still in the playoff hunt. They still had meaningful games to play, and that's likely how it's going to come down to in that division again this year. Even if you have a rough patch in the middle of the year, if you can pull together and get some wins at the end of the season, you're probably going to sneak into the playoffs. You're going to have to play the play-in game most likely, but it's hockey. Anything can happen.
The Mojo did it.
Yes,
Few
they
years
did.
back, 8 seed to win the cup. Anything
win it
is
all.
possible. Yeah.
7 seed, I think. But yeah,
7 seed. Whoops.
ridiculous regardless. And speaking of the Mojo, they did not win their debut. They lost to the Knights 3-1. A little bit of probably our chippiest game of the day, but a good game nonetheless. Battled the Knights, made some improvements in the offseason. They look pretty good. South Jersey Soul, they won 4-0 over they beat the Horsemen.
Yeah.
The Horsemen, yeah.
And then the Monarchs won 6-1 over the Psychos, which are the new team made of free agents for this, South Jersey division. So, how many games did we have? We had only 13 games for opening weekend. I think for the April 15th to 16th weekend, we're closer to 70. So, yeah, very light start for us. Definitely some road bumps. We're still working on some stuff with the website. Still getting a few things figured out on the back end, but by the time we get to that second set of games, we'll be smooth sailing. So
Yeah.
went pretty well. You guys, anything else about that?
It was just a great weekend seeing everyone again. And great hockey was played, clean hockey. It wasn't anything too chippy. So overall, it was fun.
No suspensions. Mood seemed to be great. Everybody was hanging out after. It just seemed like a good time. From what I hear, DC was the same vibe. Everybody was enjoying themselves. Games were competitive. Just good to be back. It was good to be back and get in the mix again.
Exactly.
So shifting now into March Madness, just a quick touch up on that. Congrats to the Bay Area Burger Boys avenging their 2022 absolutely devastating championship loss to the Bloomfield Meatballs, who, rest in peace, are no longer with us in the NBHL. We wish they were, because they had an all-time logo. It will be remembered forever. But they did what they had to do. The Burger Boys. If it's one thing we learned is the league really likes food.
Yeah, food logos go a long way.
Meatballs, Burger Boys, and the team the Burger Boys beat, the San Diego Sauce. Another food reference. So
yeah,
makes it more impressive that the Tortugas won the first year. Not a food. Hopefully.
Well, kind of.
Well, not my kind of food. I would never eat my own kind.
I actually bought a Bay Area Burger Boys t-shirt last year, so because I love their logo so much, and I can wear it proudly now, I guess.
Yeah, you're a day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they the Final Four was the Shreveport Raging Gators, which their logo is awesome. It's just this angry looking alligator over the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
And the Columbus Counts, who have this just very, very classy lion as their picture. Some pretty awesome logos. And we saw a lot of teams rebrand this year. The DC Hayes, who we just spoke about, rebranded, and their new logo is so much better than our logo. They went to the round of 32. People seem to really like it. Orange County Wolves, they rebranded. Their new logo was a lot more modern looking. It went to the round of 32. Queen City Crowns have a outrageous logo. There's so much detail in that logo that I don't even know what to look at when I'm looking at it. But, I guess when you win Tier 3 Milac Cup, you want to, look the part. So they definitely have a logo that matches it. And Garden State Titans, they rebranded in North Jersey Tier 2. Burnside Bears in Pacific Northwest rebranded.
Oof, Burnside Bears logo, beautiful.
I love that one.
logo.
Yeah, me too.
They're going to be, when we get pictures of their jerseys, people are going to be like, oh my God, like they have some of the best unis in the whole league. They're going to look so good. And San Diego Sauce, who went to the final, was honestly my pick to win it. I thought they were going to win it because their logo is just, it's so cool.
It's so cool.
And
maybe see them make a run next year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if it's any indication what happened this year, I mean, it seems like a lot of the new logos tend to go further than the logos that have been in the league a couple years. So, maybe 2024 is the Sauce's year. We'll see. But moving forward, unless you guys have anything else about March Madness you want to touch on?
No, it's just always a good competition annually to have, and always exciting to see all the new logos, of course, and see some of the bad ones. I mean, there's definitely some bad ones that I won't name, but some rebrands weren't great. I'm going to be honest. So get it together, guys.
Yeah, we want, we love every logo, but there's definitely some that could use a facelift a little bit. So maybe we'll get that next year. We'll see. All right, so now we'll kick it to some division previews for all the divisions that kick off the April 15th, 16th weekend. Starting off in Tier 1, we'll go to Massachusetts. Defending champs, the Boston Blackhawks, and they're coming back this year. We lost the Cleghorn Crooks, which is, they're one of the more popular teams in the league. It's pretty surprising team to see go, but they are no longer in the league.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Biz get a Crooks jersey? Biz Nasty from
He did.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, they're definitely one of the more popular teams in the league that no longer exist.
Wow, I forgot about that. Yeah, Biz definitely has a Cleghorn Crooks jersey. So leaving with the Crooks is the Leominster Flyers and the Lowell Lizard Kings. And then getting back into the league or joining the league are the Leominster Stars and the Tri-Town Terriers. Stars consist of a lot of guys from the Crooks and the Flyers. Terriers are, players pulled from pretty much all over, and some tier 2 guys. So mass 6 teams. All 6 teams are awesome. All 6 teams have skill up and down. So I couldn't even guess who's going to win that division. I mean, Blackhawks team to beat win it last year, but all 6 teams have, A-level national team talent up and down.
Right.
And they're down a team from last year, right? They had 7 teams last year, so the talent's going to be a little more condensed because it's spread over 6 teams instead of 7. So, that just means deeper teams and better action.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to New Jersey, Tier 1, defending champs, Marlton Dogs. They went all the way to the Milac Cup Tier 1 final last year, lost to the Penn Hills Imperium. Teams leading the division are the New Jersey Huskies, Mays Landing Prodigy, and New Jersey Force. Teams added to the division are the Mays Landing Mavericks, which is basically a combination of the Huskies and Prodigy from last year, and the South Jersey Top Guns, which is a freshman age team. We discussed them a little bit earlier. They're mostly, younger kids, age 16 to 19, really fast, good team. So we'll see. Again, condensed from 9 teams last year to 8. So skill got dispersed a little more evenly amongst those teams. And I mean, all 8 are good.
Yeah, I think we saw it. I mean, obviously it was only 3 games week 1, but we already saw the level of talent and how competitive it's going to be all season long. So super excited to watch that unfold.
Yeah, this division is definitely a toss-up. It feels like anyone can win any game when we go out there, and the championship's up for grabs, basically. Yeah. Any team can win this.
And that, kind of rings true for Pittsburgh Tier 1 as we go to them, because defending champion, obviously, is Penn Hills Imperium. They've won the Pittsburgh division both years. They won the Milac Cup both years. Absolutely the team to beat in all of Tier 1. And the only team we lost was the Inner City Guardians. Otherwise, it's the same 5 teams as last year. It's the Mon Valley Warbirds, Penn Hills Battalion, the Imperium, the Pittsburgh Pioneers, and the Showstoppers. A lot of movement amongst players on those teams, but again, on paper, everything looks pretty even across the board. So we'll see. I mean, obviously Imperium, huge target on their back.
Yep.
Incredible team. So we'll see what they can do if they can pull off the three-peat. But they got 4 teams gunning for them that all have gotten better, and they want it.
Yeah,
they want it bad.
They're absolutely the team to beat in the entire NBHL.
For sure. I mean, I see teams in Jersey are always talking about, oh yeah, I want to take a shot at the Imperium at the Milac Cup. Like, they're the team that doesn't matter if you're in Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, Jersey, or Buffalo. You want to beat the Imperium.
Yep.
So moving to Tier 2 here, we'll start off in Chicago. Defending champion is the Chicago Southsiders, who are not returning. They're not back this year.
They've transitioned.
Yeah, they are a rebrand. They basically are the new Southside Rats. Missing a few key players, but a lot of the makeup is pretty similar to the Southsiders last year. So kept Southside in the name, just they're the Rats now.
Did you see their little meme they posted on Instagram, the little graphic of them transitioning from, I think it was like a rat, or it was a Southsider, I guess, transitioning into a rat or something. I can't fully remember, but
like those
it was funny.
Books that were like in the Scholastic fairs, like someone turning into something.
Yeah, like evolution or whatever. It was funny. I got a good laugh out of that. So excited to see the Rats.
High in the preseason social media team rankings for sure. Is the Southside Rats. Another team lost is the Chicago Hornets, who were the Dolphins. They were the Hornets. Now they are gone. Replacing them for the 6th team is the Plainfield Electric, which is an expansion team. And we'll see. They picked up a lot of the free agents, have some players we're not too familiar with. So we'll see what they do. And in the Hornets, the players are not really out of the league. A lot of them are on other teams, and they combined a lot of players. I think with the Stingrays, they'll be matched up together. So
didn't we add the Chicago Snipers as well? Isn't that what the...
That's right. Yeah, the Chicago Snipers.
Yeah, Snipers. I think that's like the younger team. Yeah, their jerseys look sick. I can't wait to see those ones.
Yeah, they look pretty good. They have a cool logo. So yeah, Tier 2 Chicago. Wide open, depending on how you ask. Southsiders players are still there, but they're now the Rats, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Tier 2 Florida, another one, similar situation. Atlanta Dirty Birds were the defending champs. Didn't make it back this year. I know it's a big trip, getting them down there. It's a bit of a hike, so I think there's a few players that are still dispersed in the NBHL. I know their captain's actually playing Tier 1 in Buffalo this year, but Chris Haynes. So no Dirty Birds. The Atlantic 747s, they left the league, and the South Florida Alliance kind of left the league. They essentially rebranded as South Florida Premier, which is one of their sponsors. The Lakewood Ranch Manatees are a new team that we added. They're based out of guys from Manatee Ball Hockey Program in Florida.
Great logo on that team too.
What was that?
Manatees, great logo.
Oh yeah, awesome logo. And the Daytona D5 Ducks, another team that had a good run in the March Madness. So 5 teams in Florida, teams condensed, and
Their tournament style, right?
yeah, their tournament style. And I guess for the first time, we'll have a Florida team representing at the Milac Cup because the Georgia team can't take it from them.
True.
So we'll see who gets up here from Florida. Massachusetts defending champs are the Mill City Warriors. Had a pretty good showing at the Milac Cup. Teams lost are the Leominster Jets, Hudson Shockers, and Cleghorn Criminals. And teams added are the Malden, I don't know,
Something like
Maulers, Mass Vengeance, Plastic City Flamingos, which Plastic City is one of the cooler city names that we have in the NBHL.
For sure.
The Plastic City Flamingos is probably a top 3 team name in all of the NBHL, honestly.
Yeah.
Western Mass Wolverines and Winchendon Norsemen. So going from 7 teams to 9 in Mass Tier 2.
We love that. More teams
Great
than Meredith.
growth.
Yeah, big growth. And there was probably a few more teams we could have had. There's a couple that dropped out last minute, teams that left last year that, were close but couldn't put it all together. So we're hoping that that division continues to expand, but they'll have 2 teams at the Milac Cup this year, which will be nice for them. They have more than enough skill to send 2 teams that are going to be competitive. So we'll see if the Warriors can repeat and who's going to give them a run. So South Jersey, defending champs, Space Pirates, beat the Chiefs in the finals last year, who the Chiefs, as we just spoke about, beat them in the opening game this year. Teams that left the division are the Camden County Cobras, the GT Ducks, the Knights Watch, and the Jersey Shore Sharks. Although 3 of those 4 teams are essentially still in the league, with the Knights Watch rebranding to the South Jersey Majestic, the Gloucester Township Ducks mostly rebranding into the South Jersey Jays, and the Jersey Shore Sharks dropping down to Tier 3 in Philadelphia. So those teams still essentially remain. Also added to the Jays and the Majestic in that division is the Chimney Fish, Atlantic City Chimney Fish. Hell of a name. The South Jersey Sloss, also an incredible name. And the South Jersey Soul. And the, who am I forgetting? Oh, the GT Gloucester Township Psychos as well. So
Yeah, that brings us
division
to 14 teams, which is insane. I mean,
crazy.
coming out, I know, everyone's in their own divisions, but going out there every single week and seeing, we're up there at, noon. We don't get back till 10:45, 11 o'clock every night just because there's so many games going on every week. But it's a party down here. It's a lot of fun.
Tons of hockey, nonstop hockey on Sundays.
Washington, D.C. is one of the only tiers that stayed exactly the same. So Maryland Sparks won it last year. They come back this year. No teams left, no teams added. Same 6 teams battling it out. I know they're, pulling in more skill from, people that are living a little further away maybe, or from their lower division tiers in the D.C. Street Hockey League. But again, D.C., one of our strongest tier 2s. Those guys are very, very skilled. A lot of A-level players. Next, New England tier 2. Defending champion is the South Coast Chargers. Went from 7 teams to 5. The Gansett Lobsters, who were one of our, I mean, a top tier social media team.
Yeah.
I mean, top tier team too. They almost made it to the Milac Cup, lost in 3 games to the South Coast Chargers in the finals, but they disbanded, had a lot of players go on different teams, and then they have a handful of their guys that are flying out to California, playing California Tier 2 for the South Bay Bruins.
Craziness.
What a wild transition that is. Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
I didn't think people would actually end up doing that, and it's actually ridiculous that they're going to be doing that, but that's awesome. Sad to see the Lobsters go. Definitely going to miss their presence on social, but I'm sure they'll make up for it when they're in Cali.
I'm sure
we'll
the
still hear
Bruins will
from
have
them.
a good presence on social media,
Yeah.
right? It's the
Yeah.
same spirit,
Yeah.
especially with Chet Johnson on the team.
This is us telling them to have a presence, so do it.
Please go on social media.
And the other team lost there is the Whaling City Rampage, who were a late addition last season, couldn't get it together this year. So going from 7 teams to 5, I know a lot of players moved around there. So Chargers, again, team to beat, but they had some guys that got the call up to Tier 1 in Massachusetts, some key players not returning. So we'll see. It should be wide open in New England. We'll see what happens. Tier 2, North Jersey, Long Island ball hockey team. Not a name, but still a hell of a team. Coming back, coming to defend their title. I know they had they went 9-0-1 in last year, and that one being an overtime win, not an overtime loss. They won all 10 of their games.
Wow.
Didn't do what they wanted to at the Milac Cup. They ended up losing to the Chiefs, I believe. So they're back, and I know they're hungry. I know they want to win the whole thing. And, only team lost was the North Jersey War Pigs, but we added 2 teams. We added the North Jersey Hitmen, and we added another team from Long Island, the Long Island Sound, who, sound like they're going to be a really good squad. So
Good
we're up to
pun.
8.
Good pun, dude. Sound like they're going to be a good team, dude.
Oh, wow.
Oof,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
That was intentional.
They also
That was
have
intentional for sure.
They also have a really nice logo. I like their color scheme. I actually don't remember their jerseys, but logo is top tier.
Yeah, it's obviously heavily based on the New York Islanders logo, but
Yeah.
it's unique in its own way. It's
Right.
really good. It went really far in March Madness. I think it was Elite 8 in March
Definitely,
Madness.
it was up there.
So, yeah, 8 teams in North Jersey. So they're another division that'll get 2 teams at the Milac Cup, having only 1 last year. So someone
Right.
else will get their shot. Tier 2 Pittsburgh. Defending champs are the North Side Militia, not North Hills. They switched to North Side.
Questionable.
We'll see. But they lost in the semis at the Milac Cup last year. A really, really good team. They're really good. Leaving that division though are the Bloomfield Meatballs, which we discussed before, and I'd rather not discuss it again. I'm going to get emotional, and I'd rather not. South Hills Misfits and the Steeltown River Raiders, all even. Added to the league are the Cranberry Apocalypse, the Downtown Demigods, Iron City Blitz, and Steel City Revenge, which is 4 very angry team names.
I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah, that's what even is a demigod?
I don't
Do we
know. They're looking grim over in tier
Whoa,
2
you guys
pit.
never read Percy Jackson? You don't know what a demigod is?
I did read Percy Jackson.
Oh my God. A half human, half god, born of a god or something. I don't know. I read them in middle school, but
We'll see if they live up to it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what their team is made up of, they're going to have a pretty good year. A very good year. Women's Pittsburgh, defending champs, Steel City Snipes, also the only team returning. Saw some expansion in women's Pittsburgh, which was great. Went from 3 teams last year, now we got 4. Added the McKeesport Riddlers, the Murraysville Mad Hatters, and Pittsburgh Malevolence. And, that expansion, I know the Steel City Snipes are a very different roster this year. So we'll see. These women's tiers are, it's a new draft at the start of every season. So everybody in theory should be even on paper. So we'll see how it comes together once the games and who shows up. But Snipes are back. 3 teams to play against for them this year instead of 2, 4-team division. And New Jersey Philly, the Atlantic City Deck Queens are also back. Again, looking different. Like the Snipes, just, from the draft and everything, things change up. Teams lost are the Lancaster fan favorite, which is unique team name. One that kind of sad to see go.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Chaos, they're also gone. Then we added the South Jersey Genos, which pretty cool team name, named after you, Gianni, right?
Not quite, I don't think.
And the Philadelphia Bell Ballers. So, like we just said, draft style format. We'll see how it comes together. But 5 teams. 5 teams in New Jersey, Philly women's, 4 teams in Pittsburgh women's, and we'll see one each for them go to the the Milac Cup.
Yeah. 13 divisions all starting that weekend of April 15th to 16th. It's going to be craziness. A lot of hockey being played on Sunday and just ready to do the work once the week hits. Excited.
I'm happy to take our last week off here for Easter.
Yeah.
One last relaxing week, and then we kick into full overdrive.
Yeah, it kind of worked out nice for us where we could get those first few games, work out some of the kinks and just like workflow things on our end, just with a small, amount of games. And I mean, there's no time for that once we have 70 games coming. We're going to be busy.
Yeah.
And then the week following, I think, is even more games. So we got a lot coming up. So excited to see what happens. We saw some big upsets on April 3rd. So I'm expecting more of the same.
Yeah, I think G said it best. Like last week, he's like, maybe we should build in this week next year intentionally so we can work out the kinks and stuff. But we'll see. Excited.
So with that, we will kick it to Mark Bergamasco. Bergie is the captain of the Penn Hills Imperium, and we got him for an interview, our first interview on the Commish Chat Podcast. But first, we've got an ad from our good friends over at Milac.
Milac Hockey is your leading provider in ball hockey equipment and proud sponsor of the National Ball Hockey League. Milac has been around for 50 plus years, pioneering the sport of off-ice hockey, creating the iconic orange ball, which is the most used and recognized hockey ball around the world. Milac's MK5 ball is the official ball of the NBHL, weighing a little heavier than the original no bounce ball at 66 grams. The heavier ball reduces the bounce a little and also plays a little truer than the traditional no bounce orange ball that you're used to. If you go to Milac.com, you can purchase the NBHL branded MK5 balls. To check out all Milac products, like I said, head over to Milac.com and use promo code Commish Chat at checkout for 15% off. Once again, that's Commish Chat, COMMISHCHAT at checkout for 15% off.
All right, so welcoming to the Commish Chat Podcast, our first ever guest, Mark Bergamasco. So before I start asking you questions, I want to get into your accolades. You're the captain of the Penn Hills Imperium, the first ever Tier 1 Milac Cup champions in 2021. Then in 2022, you guys came back again, won it again, went back to back. Also won Pittsburgh Tier 1 both of those years. And you yourself are a first team all division player for Pittsburgh Tier 1 in 2021. You're also on the U.S. men's national team in 2019 and 2022. And you're one of the centerpieces for the Penn Hills Arsenal men's A team, currently ranked number 4 in the USA Ball Hockey Club team rankings. It's quite the resume for you.
Yeah, man, it's been a long road coming, but I don't look at individual accolades too much. We have a great group of guys in Penn Hills, but definitely some things to feel good about for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the Imperium and Arsenal and the stuff that's happening now, like how did you get your start playing ball hockey?
So I'm from Penn Hills and big ball hockey community. Obviously, Leominster was the first rink, but I believe Penn Hills was the second deck hockey rink put up. And since the age of 4, I started playing up there in in-house, and then one thing led to another. And then you end up in Europe, you end up in Canada, you end up around the country, just playing the game you love. But yeah, I remember I started at the YMCA, playing in like a gym, probably like a lot of people. And then I remember my very first practice up at the deck, and I was scared to death. Like it was overwhelming. There was obviously kids there that had already been there. So anytime you're walking into a new environment, you can be a little uncomfortable. But now that's like my home. Like that's my spot, you know? So it's funny how things work. But that's how I got started. My dad plays hockey. He introduced me to the game. He just played ball hockey. He played football growing up, wrestling a little bit, things like that. And then, yeah, we grew up right next to the deck. And then he would take me up there. I'd watch him play in the freezing cold, in the scorching summer days. Our rink used to have like 9-10 leagues, and he would be on like 7-8 teams, and he'd just play all day on a Saturday. My mom would go to work and I'd just sit up there all day. So it's funny how something you dread when you're a little kid, now you love. Like now you can't take me away from the place. So that's pretty much how I got started playing.
Awesome. And then the thing about the Imperium that I notice is how close your team is. Like all you guys just seem like your best friends, your boys. And I talked to some of them before this podcast and they reiterated the same thing. So when did you start playing with the crew that you play on the Imperium with, or the core of the group at least?
So the first one I probably played with that's on Imperium is Anquan. There's obviously all-stars, and we would play. So I finally cracked an all-star team in Penguin. So travel team, you know, you go Jersey, Massachusetts, things like that. And Juan was like my first real friend in ball hockey. And also Jimmy Kiesel, he was on our team in 2021, unbelievable player. So those two guys, he's not with us anymore. I believe he's playing in Tier 2 this year. But yeah, me and Anquan grew up playing together. He was one of my best friends growing up and still is. And then Percy came around, and it's so funny. Like, so you got Percy, and then you got T. Fischetti, who's also not on our team this year, but has been in the past and was with us growing up. And Percy, when I first met him, he came out of nowhere. He played ice hockey, and we're playing against each other in Penguin in-house, super competitive. Like we're both super competitors. But he was like really good. I wasn't that good when I was younger. In the first game I was playing against him, we got into a fight. Like we were beefing. We were really beefing. And then we go to the penalty box, and I'm like, when somebody's good, you have that healthy competition, but you have that respect as well. So we're in the penalty box, and I look over and I'm like, you good? And he's like, yeah, you good? And then like we've been best friends ever since. And then T. Fischetti, same thing. He used to play out, and we were in a practice, and he just messed me up one practice. I was really small. Not that I'm big now, but I was really small. And then, and I didn't like him for like a year or two. And then he started playing goalie, and he was really good. And obviously, when you start winning together, you get a bond like no other. So then we've been boys ever since. Really good friend of mine. And then, another key piece, Austin Avampato. He came around when we were in like cadet. He played in Murraysville, and we used to play against him all the time. And then he finally came over and started playing with us in cadet. And he has like the landscaping company as well as I do. So we kind of bonded through that. And then now he's one of my best friends. I mean, we hang out, we talk business, we talk hockey. We just somebody I can go to for pretty much anything. And then you got Krause, Tommy Sposito, and Danny Cunningham. They're all great players. They all work very hard, and they all work with me. So I'm with them every day, right? So
you're the boss and the captain.
Yeah, I guess the boss. But we all work together, you know. I'm a worker too at the end of the day. And but yeah, that is an interesting dynamic for sure. But there's a mutual respect. I'm never like trying to be too bossy, you know. I'm probably more bossy when it comes to playing in the games and keeping everyone's head on right than at work. That they would probably tell you the same thing, honestly. And then all the other guys, you got like Owen, Mills, and Harrison, and Richie, like all these guys, we practice together every Sunday. So, you know, once a week we're seeing each other, right? So you get a bond there, and then winning together, it makes you boys. It's inevitable. You share that stuff forever. So I think that's why we seem so tight. But then a lot of those first guys I mentioned, I mean, we're in the gym together 3, 4, 5 days a week. We hit the rink. I mean, they're probably in the gym more than me. I get held up with work sometimes. But I mean, the guys train like professionals, honestly. So when you're in the gym together, you're beating the crap out of each other on a Sunday, every week, early in the morning, post Saturday nights. You get a different kind of bond than you would with any kind of friends. So that's pretty much why we seem so tight.
Yeah, like that closeness like comes out pretty obviously just from watching you guys play and knowing you through the years playing against you in A tournaments. And for people who might only be familiar with the NBHL, there's in club scene where there's tournaments, there's 4 or 5 major tournaments a year. And almost every player you mentioned there plays for Penn Hills Arsenal. And, that's your club team. And who started Arsenal?
So there was like a few guys. It was like a mix of guys who aren't around anymore. So you have Billy Sullivan. There was Justin Donovan, Ryan Crossy, Warren Morgano. There may be a few that I'm leaving out, but those are the 4. Maybe Pete Constantino, one of the goalies, he might have been involved as well. But it was a core group of older guys, kind of like how we are now, that started it. So we're just kind of carrying the torch. And the only one who's really still around now is Ryan Crossy. He still plays with us. So that's cool.
Yeah, because I think that there's maybe some players in the NBHL who, came into this league and might not be as familiar with that stuff. And my understanding of how the Imperium were formed was it was basically the Imperium and Penn Hills Battalion are essentially the Arsenal team. They combined to make the Arsenal team playing in those A tournaments and playing all over the country. So I guess the question is like when the NBHL is announced and, you have your group of guys in Arsenal and how do you split up those teams? Is it you and Vinny Timonello getting together? Is it a draft? Like, is it just kind of just, picking friends? Like, how did that happen?
Man, it's been endless conversations. Vinny's one of my really, really good friends, if not one of my best friends. He's somebody I look up to. He's the captain of Arsenal now. I'm like, I would say an alternate captain, probably. Some people say captain, but he's my captain. And we talk all the time. And basically, we also have Ange Fox, who kind of manages the whole older Penn Hills program, pretty much from the U20s up. And then you got Tony Fischetti, and then Rip's our head coach. And then you also have George Tarantino, but he's not really involved in any of this NBHL stuff. And so me, Vinny, Ange, Tony, and a little bit of Rip, we had a bunch of conversations. And basically how it was set up in the beginning was Vinny's a little bit older than us. He's like 27 and our age group's more like 25. So he was always a little bit above us. So he took a bunch of the older, really good guys. Like he had a core of older, good players. And then I got the core of the younger talent, which in hindsight, I probably got a little bit lucky and made out, honestly. And he'd probably tell you that too. But he wouldn't ever say that. He's the humblest guy. He's the humblest guy for how successful and how good he is. But that's the reality of the situation. He got an older crew who were unbelievable, but they just had attendance issues and things like that. But that's pretty much how the teams got broken up. He got an older core and I was leading the younger core is pretty much how it ended up turning out. And then going into last year, we didn't really shake it up too much considering that we won. And then going into this year, there's still a few question marks. Roster freeze isn't until March 24th, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I did my research on that because we may have a move or two because our first center, Austin Avampado, is out now for the year. He tore his MCL and his ACL. He has to get surgery. So,
dude, that's terrible.
Yeah. So we have a huge gap in our team, obviously, but we're really solid. So there might be a move or two. Stay tuned. but But that's how the team shook out initially, and that's kind of where we're at now. But where we're at now is it's up in the air a little bit. We have a little bit of time. I'm a last minute kind of person, so I'm sure we're gonna make something shake.
How's that work with games against them? Is it like is it intensity like higher because it's like your buddies, or is it how's that play out?
Yeah, I mean, you'll throughout the whistles and stuff, you give a little tap here and there, but I mean, it's ugly. Like, it's ugly, man. Like, if you've seen our practices, you wouldn't believe how hard we go. And like, we split up white team, black team in practice, and whatever team you're on, you're riding. That's your squad. It's like war in practice. That's how we play, just to get game ready. It's serious. We don't mess around at all. So that translates to the NBHL. They're gray, we're yellow. It's on, you know? So, and they swept us last year in the regular season, and then we seen them in the playoffs, and then we swept them. So, but it's ugly, man. It's so close and tight. Genuinely, to be completely honest, they were the team that I was scared of the most, just because I know what they bring to the table, and I know that they know what we bring to the table. So I hated playing them, especially in the regular season. They had our number. But when we get in the playoffs, we just kind of flip a switch. At least we have just flipped a switch in the past. Hopefully that continues, but we'll see. But it's intense. It's definitely intense. Like, Vinny, he's the nicest guy in the world, but you play against him, he's so hard to play against, man. He makes me better as a player, as a person, all around. So, and I love it. I think it elevates the game completely. So, and I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
So we get into the potential first season in 2020. COVID happens. We don't get to have it. Corey is able to get off the Pittsburgh Tier 1 Summer Showcase, and that's the coming out party for the Imperium. That's your guys' first win. So take us through that. Like, I know that was probably the first time playing hockey in a little bit for some of you guys. Like, how'd that feel? How'd it feel to set the tone as the first champion? Like, how was that tournament for y'all?
Well, it's funny because, the COVID thing happened, and I think people in general went one of two ways. It was either you just sit at home and you're lethargic and you get out of shape and things like that. But we used it to our advantage. We didn't play a tournament circuit at all in 2020 in 2020. Yeah. But we were on the deck every day. We were in the gym every day, just waiting. We couldn't wait to play. So when we finally got to play, I mean, we were amped up. We were ready to go. And that was intense, man. Obviously, Arsenal, if you're not familiar with the A-League circuit, one of our biggest rivals is the Pittsburgh Gods, which is our neighbors up on the North Shore. And we have some buddies on that team, and we have some guys we don't particularly care for. At the same time, that's just the game, though. It's the competitive thing as well. You just don't have the body thing, you know. But at the end of the day, I mean, everybody's cool. So we got the Pioneers. We beat them in overtime, and then Battalion got the Showstoppers, and they really took it to them. And it was funny because on Friday night, the Showstoppers kicked the crap out of us. We were missing a couple guys. Not that that's an excuse. And they really took it to us. They beat us like 7-1 or something crazy like that. Because they have high scoring power. They have a lot of good goal scorers. And so they really took it to us Friday, and they're chirping us, getting at us, you know, telling us we're butt, whatever, just getting at us. And then, so when Battalion beat the Showstoppers, we're in the stands, and this wasn't the best sportsmanship, but it's just intense, you know? So then we start chirping them from the stands, and then that's really where ours and the Showstoppers rivalry started. And then that was kind of ugly. And then obviously we made it to the finals against Battalion, and they were tired. They just had a crazy game against the Showstoppers. And so we really took it to them. And then, that was the summer showcase in a nutshell.
So you guys go 8-2, get all the way to the finals, match up versus the Pioneers. Series goes to game 3. Then you go to the Milac Cup after beating them in the finals. Guess I'm skipping around a little bit here, but is the intensity different in Pittsburgh versus the Milac Cup finals? Like, what's the difference there?
It's just, I mean, the game's the game. At the end of the day, if we're playing a hockey game, we want to win that hockey game, whatever it takes, you know? So I would say the intensity is the same. There's a little bit more of a feeling of like butterflies. You got the live stream. There was a huge crowd at the Milac Cup, but there's a huge crowd at Pittsburgh too. So I think it kind of prepared us for that. But I would say the intensity is the same, but there was more at stake. You get a different feeling when you're really playing for the cup, you know, especially for that first one. We wanted that so bad.
Yeah, how did it feel to win that first Pittsburgh championship too?
The Pittsburgh was huge. Honestly,
bragging rights for a long time.
Oh yeah, it's super bragging rights. But the downside of that is that, you know, next year they're coming. They're coming for toes. They're coming for hands. They're coming for blood, which is cool. That's what we want. But yeah, I love it. Winning Pittsburgh's huge. I thought once we won Pittsburgh, building off that momentum gave us a really good chance to win in Marlton for the Milac Cup.
So you're going to the first Milac Cup. Sunday, you win your first two versus the Seabass and the Scrappers. You lose to the Dogs late Saturday night, going into Sunday as the 4 seed. You got your work cut out for you. You guys had a hell of a path to winning that Milac Cup on Sunday. That Saturday night going into Sunday, is there, you know, anything different? You guys just, you know, going to bed early? Like what's going on that Saturday night in prep for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's ever won a tournament on a Saturday, but people have lost tournaments on Saturdays. So we're like, I mean, we're just chilling. Nobody's drinking or anything like that. Everyone's just hanging out, relaxing, just enjoying the time. But we're confident with everything that we had done that year. I don't think we really had any doubt we could do it. We just knew that we had to do the right things to do it, you know? So, yeah, losing to the Dogs was tough. Their team was really good. You got Johnny, you got Dennis Hickey, Andy's, all those guys. So we knew that was going to be a battle. And I don't want to jump ahead, but we kind of got our redemption, obviously. So that made it a little bit better. We wanted to see them on Sunday at the Milac Cup, but it's funny how things work out in the long run. But yeah, we didn't like losing to them very much at all. But I think it sparked a little fire in us. Like, we knew we had to be a little bit better on Sunday.
Yeah, because Sunday you came out, you beat the Caribou 4-3. That game was awesome. And then the Crooks game was unbelievable. You guys are down 2-1 after the first period. And then you scored 7 more goals. You went 8-3. Like, what happened in that game?
Just depth. At the end of the day, it was depth. Like, we had 3 lines, plus we might have even had an extra set of wingers, honestly. And our guys can run. So, and they didn't have depth. I don't know exactly how many guys they had, but we had more, which is very important. You don't want to travel light. At the end of the day, you need guys who are okay with playing a role, knowing, okay, I might only get 2-3 shifts this game, but they're going to be very important to rest my guys so they can get back out there. I mean, when you're playing your best guys every other shift, in the long run, if you're evenly matched, you're going to lose, you know? And that's pretty much what happened in that game, because they came out strong. They went up, they're beating us. And then time tells. We know we have that mentality. It's like, keep playing. There's time on the clock for a reason. So we just kept playing. And then once I scored, we went up 4-3. And then I think Jimmy Kiesel scored right after me, like 10, 15 seconds later. It was quick. And so it's 5-3, and they're already tired. It was like 80 degrees that day, super hot. And then I don't know who scored the sixth one. It might have been Cunningham, but at that point they're just like gasping for air, So we like that.
Yeah, they I think they only came, and this might be overestimated. I think they had maybe 12 runners, which again, not an excuse, but like they were short, and you guys are athletic, you're in shape, you just ran all over them. There was nothing they could do. So I remember watching that game and I was just like, holy shit, like this is insane. Like these guys are on a roll right now. You took it all the way through to the finals where, of course, you saw had a Pittsburgh final. First one, Pioneers, did 2-1 win. That was just an awesome game. Just an awesome game. Take us through that game.
So we went down 1-0 right off the bat. Taurus gets the ball. We like Taurus, by the way. Taurus got the ball. Broke to the right, put a backhand top left.
It was nasty.
Yeah, it was super nasty. It was a great goal. But they're the kind of team that wants to win a 1-0 game. And so you've seen with the Crooks, we smelled blood that game. So we got a goal and then we got another goal and it's like, okay, it's on. So then we pounce, right? And then the Pioneers, the dynamic was a little bit different. They go up 1-0 and then they kind of go in a shell and they're trying to beat you 1-0, right? So then you really got to work for that goal. So, and we didn't get it until the third. So, but we stuck with it. We knew we had a chance. We beat the team obviously before a few times. So we knew we could do it. We just knew it was a matter of time and we had to stick with it. We got a power play. We were working the ball around the point. I go to Krause. Krause goes over to Quan. Quan dishes it back to me up top. I rip a little snapshot, bottom right. It was a muffin. It was a muffin, but Pato's big self was standing in front, so their goalie Declan never even seen it. And then they call that the sweeper, I guess. I call it a snapshot, but they called it the sweeper, which is cool.
Yeah,
but,
have you ever heard that before? When they said that on the highlight, I never heard sweeper before, but whatever, we'll go with it, I guess.
I've heard it a lot since, I can tell you that. Every time I shoot the ball, Krause's like, sweeper. I'm like, where did this term come from? It's crazy. And then, yeah, so then we tied it 1-1. And then it's like, okay, all right, we're good now. We got a goal. Now we can just play our game. And then we're quick in transition. So they had a little bit of pressure on us. Somebody made a mistake, which you can't be out there making mistakes. We got a 2-on-1. You got Percy and Owen on a 2-on-1. Like, you don't want that. Percy made a great pass to Owen. Owen finishes. You get Owen one-on-one with a goalie. It's a goal. Like, if I'm betting, it's a goal. So he put that in. We're up 2-1. They're not really a scoring team. And, but we're not really the type to go in a shell either. So we kind of tried to keep the pressure on. But then obviously they pull their goalie. And that's the tricky thing about ball hockey. Like 6-on-5 is it's so tough, man. If you get possession with a 6-on-5, like you'll see in A-League, it's like 50% of the time you score. So they're 6-on-5 for like a minute and a half, long time. We're out there dogging it. Cunningham had a huge block. Swan had a huge block. I had a huge block. And yeah, somehow we pulled it out, but it came down to the buzzer. Like Danny blocked a shot with like 1 or 2 seconds left. Like some dude wound up for a slap shot and he just laid himself out there, And that's what it takes at the end of the day. So, and everybody's prepared to do that in that moment. And then, yeah, so we won. We got the jump on tee and it was a great time, man. I will look back at that forever as one of the best times of my life for sure. So super grateful for the opportunity, things like that.
Yeah, it was cool for us just to, see everything come to an end and see such an awesome game because the Pioneers, like, that was their 4th game of the day. Like, they came into Sunday as the 7th seed, so they had been playing all day. They were still going 110%. They were going so hard, and they played an awesome game too. But you guys you were a different level that Sunday. Like, you had it. Like, it was. I don't think I was too surprised watching you guys winning it all. And, gave you the trophy. You guys sallied awesome. Like, was there any celebrations with the actual cup? Like, because We want
yeah.
that. We want that to be like the Stanley Cup where you guys are taking it out and like doing shit with it. Like I don't know if you can share any stories, but you know, the platform's yours. But I like to hope you guys enjoyed that cup a little bit.
Yeah. So I have some friends who kind of play a little bit of in-house, but have been my boys for like my whole life, and they follow us. They follow along, see what we're doing, and so we went to a bar called Bob's Garage, and it's like Christmas theme all year. So we took the cup there, I think maybe 2 weeks later, and we had a hell of a night. we were lining shots up, shots. My buddy Chubbs, he has a Ram truck. We're outside. Someone got a pizza. Keep in mind, it's kind of a blur to me, but he's holding it up. He's like, "This is my cup. This is my cup." He starts like slamming it off his truck, trying to stuff it in his truck, like trying to steal the trophy. And then my other boy's like, "Bro, you can't do that. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, Anthony's gonna be so mad. This thing's all scratched up, man." Yeah, but it definitely had some times. That was probably one of the big nights. But there was a lot of drinking out of the cup. We drank out of the cup a lot last year. It sat in my shop for a long time. So there was like some spider webs and things like that on there. We've had possession of it for a while. So
yeah, that thing's due for a good deep cleaning, I think, at this point.
I tried to clean it before the last cup, but I'm always, like I said, I'm a last minute person. So I'm like, right before we're coming to the Milac Cup, I'm like putting car cleaner on it. And like, I got these detail wipes and I'm trying to clean it up real nice. But yeah, the fact that people were drinking out of that after that, that's real love for the game right there.
All right. Well, I'll make sure we clean that extra for this year, so we don't got people drinking car cleaner at the Milac Cup. We don't want that.
That's highly advised to clean that thing as thoroughly as possible. I would have it professionally done.
Okay, I'll have to find a cleaner.
It may have seen a few things that I didn't mention as well. So
I'll find you at North Americans. You can tell me those stories.
Yeah, I'll tell you in person. That would probably be best.
So you guys win it. Off season hits. And one of the things that affected you guys was the Gunners started playing in the A circuit. So that took a lot of guys that were not on the Penn Hills Arsenal that are now playing for the Penn Hills Gunners, and it makes their cap value go from 0.5 point to 2 point and changes a lot of the dynamic of how these teams can be formed in Pittsburgh. So between that, guys winning awards, a lot of caps changed. So how did you manage that going from year one to year two?
So it's funny because there really wasn't too many changes. I'm trying to think of, I should probably know what the difference was in our team. I know we dropped a couple guys who had lower cap. It's pretty much. So here's what happened. Okay. So the first year we had a bunch of guys. Like we had so many guys that we had to scratch people initially in the beginning of the season. And they didn't like that very much. So we had 3 or 4 guys on our team that didn't even play with us. Like we had guys who had cap hits who didn't even play with us the whole year. Okay. So the team that we won with at the first Milac Cup, we won not technically under the cap because we didn't have a bunch of those guys, right? So it seemed like going into the next year, we were going to be down bad and we were going to have to cut back. But really, we just got rid of the dead weight. So we really didn't have to make any true haircuts to the team that we won with. If you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what happened there. Yeah, you would think after all that we would have to, but I'm not going to name names, but we had a few guys who had pretty high cap hits that didn't end up playing that year, but we're still going against our cap. And then we had guys with low cap hits who played as well, but played really good. Like that was the thing about Penn Hills is our depth was really good. And then so those guys' caps went up, but then we got rid of the dead weight. So we were still essentially the same team, you know?
Right. Right. Makes sense. So going to 2022, season goes pretty well for you again. You again finished in second place behind the Showstoppers, who I think they went 9-1. 2 losses to the Battalion. We talked about that before. Then you get to the playoffs, you match up against them. Like, was that a revenge series in the semifinals after they beat you twice during the regular season?
Yeah, it was funny because it's hard to beat a team twice, let alone 4 times. And I think they knew that. And once you get later in the season, guys start getting in better shape. And I think that's where our youth came into play. So we're all hitting our stride and we're feeling really good. So it's kind of a different dynamic once you get later into the season because everybody has their legs under them. And so, but yeah, it was a revenge because they had our number, right? They beat us twice. But at the same time, that worked to our advantage because we're like, we got to be on point. And we were on point, you know? and then same thing, we smelled blood in both games. I think we won 5-1, 6-1. I think that's how it went.
Yep.
And I think it was back to back in the same night too, which didn't work to their advantage at all. So yeah, it was definitely revenge. It put a little chip on our shoulder, and I think it worked to our advantage at the end of the day. So,
and then you beat them. Then you go to the finals. You got the Showstoppers, who are 9-1. They've been rolling all season. You end up sweeping them. How'd that whole series go?
So another interesting dynamic. They beat us right off the bat in the beginning of the season. The first time we played them, pretty good. Like they beat us.
I'm trying to think of the score because didn't you guys have like a 6-5 game or something like that?
Yeah, so that was the game we won.
Right.
They beat us like 4-1 or 5-1 in our first matchup of the season. We didn't like that very much. So then the next time we played them was at Penn Hills, and it went into overtime. Drew Albright and Jordan Albright got a 2-on-1, and Tifa Shetty made an unbelievable save on a 2-on-1. And then we went to a shootout. Quan had 2 goals in the shootout. He clutched up. So then we got that win, which was huge. And then we see them in the finals, right? So we're 1-1 with each other. And yeah, it's the same thing. Like the boys were in shape. We're hitting our stride. It's mid to late summer. Everyone's feeling good. We're at the new McKee Sport rink. We really like that rink. We like a new deck. You can get good shots off on the deck. You can run good on that deck. So it was kind of like the perfect storm. We had a little bit of a chip on our shoulder as well. There was a lot of chirping on social media that they were like one of the best teams, this and that. We felt a little slighted, but we don't care. We know at the end of the day, the wins say it all. So that's what it was. At the end of the day, we got to win Pittsburgh again, and then the rest is history as of right now.
So then you win the division back to back, heading to the Milac Cup, second straight year. To feel any different having a year under your belt? Because going into it, you guys drew 3 teams who did not play at the Milac Cup before. It was the Boston Blackhawks, who won the Mass Tier 1 division. The Niagara Daredevils came in second in Buffalo. Belmar Hawks came in second in Jersey. And this is all their first time playing. So do you think that's some sort of advantage maybe? Does it, a tournament's a tournament? Like, how are you guys feeling going into that with that lineup?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really look into the opponents too much. But to be completely honest, the team we were really thinking about was the Dogs, probably. So, but yeah, it's definitely an advantage being there before. And then those guys obviously not being there before. We had the experience. We knew what it took to win. So we're patient. But at the same time, like that first game, we just came out gunning. I think we scored in the first or second shift. And then if you can do that, and you had already won, the confidence is there. So it's really, the ball was in our hand at that point, at least in the round robin. So we were pretty confident. The experience definitely comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you won all three of those games, outscored them 17-1. Then you get rematches.
17-1?
17-1. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I remember the Friday night game versus the Hawks. Like, meeting all these people coming into town for the first time, people from all over the country playing, and your game had a lot of people watching, and I had tons of people text me like, I can't wait to watch this Imperium Hawks game Friday night. Like, we want to see this Imperium team, because everybody who knew who you guys were at that point from winning. And I mean, even I texted you last week, but like, I went out to get drinks with some of the guys I was playing hockey with in San Francisco, and even they're talking about the Imperium, how they watched you guys play, and they just couldn't believe the amount of skill and how fast it was. And they're all just like, looks like they're built for it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, they literally are. Like, they work out for this shit. Like, they take a lot of pride in that. So it's cool to hear the nationwide impact you guys kind of had, because when I was living in Southern California and I was living in Northern California, like, I had conversations about you guys in both areas. So people definitely took notice of the dominance. It was impressive, to say the least. And I mean, it continued on Sunday. You get a rematch versus the Blackhawks. You win against them. Get a rematch against the Hawks. You win against them. And then you get your rematch versus the Dogs. Tell us about that game.
So, man, that game was honestly, it was wild, because in the first one, we lost on Saturday night, right? So that puts a little chip on your shoulder. But then in 2022, we were dominating teams essentially in the most humble way possible. So going into that game, it's like, it's an advantage in itself, because we're feeling really good. And so we came out, we just started scoring goals. I think we went up 4-0. We went up 4-0, and then they scored one, and then they scored a second one. And so the pressure was kind of on us. 2-goal lead, not good. For anybody who knows hockey, 2-goal lead is not good, except when it was a 4-goal lead, then it's like, okay. And then we got the fifth one. So that let us breathe a little bit. And then, so we got the fifth one, and then we were just cycling in their zone, which I think really took the air out of their tires. And yeah, that's pretty much how we ended up beating them. I'm not saying it was easy at all. Like, it was a battle, but going up 4-0 was like, it was a relief. Like, the biggest adversity that we seen that weekend was being up 4-2, So it was a weird dynamic. I'm sure it won't ever be like that again.
Yeah, I mean, that whole Milac Cup, you guys were just a force. I mean, we've now had 6 teams win their tier at the Milac Cup, and by goal differential, by win-loss, like that, it was definitely the most dominant performance. So it you guys came and backed it up. You can't say much about it besides you guys. People were coming for you. People you had a target on your back, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So now you're going into year 3 with the same target on your back, probably twice as big as it was before. So do you have to do any more changes this offseason? Like, I know the cap probably affects you even more with now, how many guys on your team made the national team between, it was you, Percy, and Cunningham, right? Was there?
Correct.
Yeah. So that definitely messed your cap up, and I'm sure you guys had to make some moves. So how'd this offseason go leading into this year?
Well, like I was saying earlier, our offseason is not over yet. We have we've been talking about a move that we may make, but I'm not going to talk about it yet because it's still up for debate. And when you talk about something that might happen, it doesn't happen. So I'm not going to do that. But I would just say that our roster will definitely look a little bit different, 100%. But for the most part, I mean, the core pieces are going to be there no matter what. So I'm confident with our core. Our core guys work really hard. They taking care of themselves seriously. So I think that's an advantage. I think if guys want to win, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to work in the off season and genuinely take care of your body, because that's what we're doing.
Target's just getting bigger on your back.
I love when you say that, man. You said it to me. You said it to me going into last year. You were like, guys are going to be gunning for you. I was like, I'm glad you said that, Anth. I'm glad you said that. We like that. So if nobody would say that, we might be like, yeah, we won, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as you're like, you guys got a target on your back, we're like, all right, bet, we're ready, you know?
So what's the expectation this year? Going for the three-peat?
I mean, we have to try. We have to try. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be playing if we weren't. So that's definitely the goal. The goal is to win Pittsburgh again. The goal is to win the Milac Cup again. And then next year's a long way away. We got a long year ahead of us. So, but we're working. We're going to do what we can to bring it back home again where it belongs. So we shall see. But the goal is always to win. If your goal is anything but to win, you might as well not play, in my opinion. So that's always our goal.
Awesome. Well, it's about all I got for you. Thank you for taking me through all that, because it was, for me, I haven't heard a lot of these stories and how you guys went through all this stuff. So it's pretty cool. I was told by one of your teammates that you have a new nickname you're going by for this season, that you want to be called Mr. T.
Who said that?
I can't tell you. I can't reveal my sources, but we'll have to be
so
called.
funny.
We'll be dropping Mr. T on some socials this year. So you're the sweeper and you're Mr. T now. So
hey, that's fine with me. We definitely pity the fool. There's no doubt about it. I'm cool with that.
oh my God.
There's more to that than you would know, but it's cool. They like that. Actually, Joe Hadley, I think, came up with that. He's always in the gym with us. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah,
he's an older Penn Hills guy. He was unbelievable back in the day. And he's in the gym he works with us and trains with us. So he's the one who started calling me Mr. T. So that's fine. I'll take it.
Well, yeah, I wanted to end on that note, say thanks, Bergie. I appreciate you. Congrats on all the championships. Guys are 5-5. It's pretty amazing what you've done. It's unprecedented. No one's had the chance to set the precedent before, but it's going to be tough for anybody to come on top of what you guys have done. So, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you leading the team and doing all you do. And good luck to the Imperium this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you guys do as well. The way you guys are growing the game is awesome. I'm super grateful to be a part of it. You guys are making kids' dreams come true. So it's truly a great thing. So I thank you guys, and I applaud you guys for that.
Thanks, Bergie. Appreciate it.
All right, Anth.
Now moving on to the Hockey Militia Ask of the Week. So every week we are going to post a question on Instagram, and it will be a graphic, and we get answers from you guys, and we'll also answer them here on the podcast. This week's was, what is your prediction for the 2023 season? I'll take it first. I mean, last year I didn't have a great season in the Tier 1 division, but apparently my stats read 0 goals, so my prediction for this season is for me to score some goals this year. That's all I can ask for, and hopefully I can contribute to the Caribou more.
You had a couple good chances on Sunday.
Had a few backhanders, just couldn't sneak them through.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping none of them come against the Tortugas. Sorry.
Fair enough. What about you guys?
I'll take my prediction here. So my prediction, lowest suspension rate ever. Let's keep the suspensions down. 2021, we had 2% of the league that got a suspension. In 2022, 1.9% of the league got a suspension. So massive decrease year 1 to year 2. Hopefully we keep that momentum shifting downward and there is less suspensions.
Yeah, 1.8 this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you do something dumb, we're gonna have to suspend you. But let's hope that number continues trending downward.
Right.
What you got, Jake?
I'll take my prediction off the rink. I'm gonna say this year we're gonna hit 11,000 followers on Instagram on the NBHL official account. Make sure you follow us if you don't already.
By when though? like Milac Cup?
By
After
Milac Cup.
By Milac Cup?
I would say when Sunday strikes midnight on the Milac Cup, we'll have 11,000 followers.
All right. Ambitious,
to
but
it.
I love it. All right, now we'll move on to some of the predictions from the comments on the Instagram post. The first one from Nicholas Polano said, I hope the South Jersey Soul get at least one win. According to the schedule and results, they already won a game. So congratulations, Nick.
Great prediction.
You're Nostradamus, Nick. That was amazing.
The next one's from Chris Long. He's predicting that Tier 1 will be Jersey versus Pittsburgh again in the Milac Cup. It's a pretty solid prediction. Can definitely see it happening again, but who knows?
It did not specify which teams either, so, could be any of the teams that emerge out of those divisions.
Sure.
Very vague. Very vague, Chris.
Be more specific, Chris. Our next one's from Justin Fassberger. He's out of Long Island, captain of the Long Island Sound. He said, Mike Tardino will quit after the first game for Long Island Ball Hockey Club. That's just, I hope, that doesn't happen, obviously, because we want Mike to continue to play. But Mike, hopefully you're in shape and ready to go.
Mike, you're going to love it. Okay. Give it more than a game. Give it a few at least before you quit.
There you go. Our next one's from Mike Thomas. He said that I somehow managed to score my first career NBHL goal for the Hatfield Black Widows. Kind of in line with what I said, although it wouldn't be my first NBHL goal. I do want to score goals this year. So I'm with you, Mike.
We're rooting for TJ. We're rooting for Mike. Let's go, Mike.
Oh, you know what? I want to amend my prediction. Is that allowed, do you think? I've been talking about it with the goalie group here in New Jersey, and we're all dying to see a goalie goal this year. So that'll be my prediction: is that first ever NBHL goalie goal gets scored this year.
Nice. Okay, I like that. Now we'll move on to the Q&A section where we post an Instagram story on the NBHL Instagram and the Commish Chat Instagram where you guys are able to ask us questions that we'll answer on the podcast. And the first one's from Crew Chef 02. Why are there games only once a month and 3 in one day?
Couple reasons. It really depends on what division you're in, what area you're in, but basically in the NBHL we have 3 season formats where we call it traditional, where you play every single week. We have hybrid, where you play a combination of weekly and monthly games, and then we have tournament, which means you play once a month. And Crew Chef 02, I'm not sure what division you play in, but you must play in one of our tournament style ones, and we do this for a couple reasons. One is it's less of a commitment. It's, 1 day a month. That one day you're playing multiple games. It might be exhausting, but it's not an every week thing. And 2, it's for travel. We have a lot of our tournament style divisions have teams that are coming from further away to play in those divisions. For example, in California, the division's based in Southern California. We have a team that comes in from San Francisco. We have teams that come in from Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is, I think, a 4-hour drive. San Francisco is a 6-hour drive or an hour-long plane ride. So for those teams, we can't expect them to play every week. It would just be impossible to have them. So what we do is we have them play monthly, or in some cases even less than that. Maybe once every 2 months, and they play a couple extra games when they actually do go to the rink. But our goal is to have divisions in all these areas someday where they're playing every single Sunday and it's not once a month. But right now, as we continue to grow, this is the easiest way to get people from further away playing. It's asking for a commute that you don't need to do every single week. Another reason why we do it this way in certain areas is to not disrupt hockey leagues they already have. There's certain leagues that play on Sundays in certain areas, and if we had our league every single Sunday, it could put people in an uncomfortable position of having to choose one league over the other. Whereas having it once a month, it's someone could play in both leagues, and they just know that one of those weekends a month they're going to be in the NBHL. The rest of that month they're going to be playing in their local league. So that's the main reasons. Hopefully we can shift away towards those someday, but right now it's the easiest way for us to get people playing.
All right, next question's from Bagley Cooper 00. He says, does the girl I like me?
Maybe.
We hope so. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know.
Might have been the wrong podcast, but
yeah. We could, if you're in the league, maybe we could put up a really cool graphic of you, like saying you scored 7 goals in the game or something. We can, you can
Even if
post
you
it.
didn't.
You can send it to her. Maybe she'll like that. I don't know. Maybe she likes athletes, but I don't know. We're rooting for you, Bagley.
Good luck. All right, our next question is from B. Savs. He said, best advice for players who joined NBHL this coming season. It's a good question.
Yeah, I'd say, first and foremost, just have fun. We're not professionals. Everybody goes to work on Monday. Like, this should be an escape, should be a time for you to come to the rink, forget about whatever's going on in your life and just go play hockey. Just go have some fun for a little bit. That's my mindset going into games, at least.
My advice would be, especially for all of you who are playing outdoors in the summer, is stay hydrated. If you haven't played outdoor street hockey before, the sun gets brutal depending on where you live. So make sure you bring plenty of water, drink it before, drink it after, drink it during.
And I'd say, since I did it this year, I kind of put in some work before the season, got in shape a little bit, and felt so much better on day one. So if you're not actively playing before the season starts, I'd say get active and be ready to run, because it's competitive and, you want to be able to compete at the highest level.
And last thing, everybody, set aside September 22nd to 24th. If you're new, if you're in the league for a long time, because I know last year when teams were qualifying for the Milac Cup, they were like, oh, we didn't know it was September 22nd to 24th. It's in our outlines, but this is also us letting you know, like September 22nd to 24th is when the Milac Cup will be. So do you expect to play there? I'd try to keep those dates open if you can.
Yep. And on that note, our next question is from Berger. He said, would you guys consider moving the Milac Cup finals or putting a roof over the Marlton rinks? Oh, man, that's a dream.
I wish we could. I wish we could put a roof over the Marlton rinks. And we're not like Marlton, like it works. It's centrally located on the East Coast, so it's convenient. It has 3 rinks that are all the same size. So for those reasons, it works very well. And even this year, we'll probably have to have maybe like 4 or 5 off-rink games, and there's like 7 or 8 deck rinks within 15 to 20 minutes of there that we could have that rink, those games at, that is not going to, force people to drive too far. But, we're definitely open to the idea of having other places, but for us, we want to have at least 3 rinks in one place. And we only know of a few facilities that have that. And if there are more 3-rink facilities that anyone's aware of, please let us know. We'd love to hear about them and research them and see if it's a viable spot for the Milac Cup. But for right now, Marlton is the most convenient place. And I think for us a little bit too, in our early stages of the league, it's, it's where we grew up playing. So it's a little bit of comfort. I think those first couple years were extremely chaotic for us and a lot of work setting up. And the fact that it was local was one less thing we had to worry about. We could drive to the rink whenever and check on things and try stuff out. Whereas if we had it at a different location, it would be a little more difficult to do.
Definitely.
But that's not saying it's something we wouldn't do. We would definitely do it if the right rink opportunity came to us.
Yeah, and I'd also say, like, I think we have aspirations to, obviously move it maybe indoor at some point, or, have it somewhere where, playing conditions are, neutral and equal across the board, and make it, like that as much as possible. So,
yeah, I think ideally the Milac Cup is indoors.
Yeah.
But again, just not an opportunity that we have right now for a 3-rink facility.
Yeah.
Unless we don't know of one. So please let us know.
All right. And that does it for all our questions in the Q&A. So thanks again for listening, everyone. Episode 2 done. It will be on Spotify and Apple Music from here on out. So make sure you follow those links and follow us on Instagram.
And if you're playing this weekend or next weekend, or your season starting soon, good luck. If you got some cool highlights or something, send them our way so we can, throw them all over the place. But good luck to everybody, and thanks for listening.